Gangsters have unleashed a wave of terror in Ecuador. A series of coordinated attacks the government is struggling to contain. Heavily armed narcos stormed a TV station in Ecuador's largest city, Guayaquil, during a live news show. The masked gunmen said they were there to warn Ecuadorians not to mess with the mafia. The attack was swift and violent.
They shot one of our cameramen in the leg, broke the arm of another one. They fired bullets. They used their weapons inside.
One TV station employee who wants to conceal his identity shared what he saw.
We were in the newsroom. All of a sudden, I saw one of my colleagues with a terrified look on his face. And he said, "They're coming to kill us. They've already got inside the TV station." And then I heard gunshots and a lot of noise. And then what I did was get out of the area where the editor was. I grabbed my phone and I started running like crazy towards safety.
About 30 minutes after the gunmen appeared, police could be seen entering the TV station. The gangsters were captured, but the attack left Ecuadorians horrified.
Unbelievable. It's the first time this has happened in this country. We leave everything to Mr. President, to the hand of God. Mr. President, you have to put a firm hand on this, because if he takes a step back, it'll be worse.
Shops and schools are shut. Ecuadorians say the prevailing atmosphere is one of fear. Thousands of law enforcement personnel are combing the country for notorious gang boss Adolfo Macias, known by his alias, Fito. He is the kingpin of Los Choneros, one of the most powerful cartels in Ecuador. Fito apparently fled a high-security jail on Sunday. Authorities say a second major gang leader and other inmates subsequently escaped from another prison. Penitentiaries have been the focal points of the unrest. There have been incidents in at least 6 prisons around the country. Police officers guarding the jail have been kidnapped, and there are reports of explosions near the homes of representatives of the judicial system. Ecuador has been racked by a surge of violence, in recent years tied to drug trafficking, including homicides and kidnappings. The country will be in a state of emergency for 60 days, during which officials can suspend people's rights and mobilize the army in places, including prisons.
Let's look at this with Wolf Grabendorf, who's a political scientist specializing in Latin American foreign and security policy. Welcome back to DW. Ecuador does sound like it's descending into anarchy. What's really going on?
Well, it is not anarchy yet, but it is on the way to it. What we have is that we have 2 different wars, internal wars going on at the same time. One is that the 2 most important gangs or drug criminals, Los Choneros y Los Colos, are at the moment fighting each other and fighting the government. And this situation makes it so difficult for the government really to put up a front against them.
Right. And this can't have come from nowhere. So how have they become so powerful?
They have become so powerful because they have first worked with the Mexican counterparts. Both of the large groups, there are 12 groups altogether, have connections to their Mexican counterparts, and they have kind of emancipated from them and are doing the dirty work with regard to transit of drugs and such things. But that's not only drugs, it's also extortion, and it's also control of the different prisons in the country. And that makes the system so difficult to fight.
And tell us about the gang leaders involved, especially this one who's disappeared.
Well, the gang leaders, both of them, one is Fito, the other one is Fabian Colon, are criminals of a long experience. They have spent years in prison already, and one must understand that prisons are run by those different groups. So the prisons are controlled by them, and therefore it is rather easy for them to move out of the prisons. That's why the government wants that the military takes over the prisons, but the military is not very much enjoying that idea and is kind of trying to resist this demand from the president.
Okay, so we have a situation where open warfare, gangs against gangs, gangs against the government, the gangs controlling prisons. One wonders, does the Ecuadorian government have the wherewithal, have the actual capacity and the non-corrupt will to actually take these gangs on and win?
That is actually the point you mentioned. The non-corrupt will is necessary. Part of the government is involved in those type of violence, or at least in the payments which come along with the violence. And the police as well as the military have parts of them which are with direct contact with the criminal groups. The criminal groups also control parts of the country. And therefore it is a situation where it only will get worse before it can better.
Thank you so much for talking us through that. A political scientist, Wolf Grabendorf. Thank you.